Hi viewers, I am Bhikshamaya Chalakani, Assistant Professor of Physics from Government Degree College for Women, Nalgonda. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on crystal structures from solid state physics. So, if we see the different states of matter, so there exist four states of matter. There exist four states of matter: solids, liquids, gases, and plasma. Okay. So now we are going to study in detail about solids and their crystal structure. Okay. How the solid is defined? So solid, it is the state of the matter in which the atoms are relatively fixed except thermal vibrations. Now, solid state physics, it is the branch of physics which studies about the macroscopic properties of solids through their internal or microscopic arrangement of atoms or ions or molecules. Okay, so that means the macroscopic properties, that is thermal properties, optical properties, electrical magnetic properties, and mechanical properties like Young's modulus, rigidity modulus, bulk modulus. So any of these properties may change if the structure of the arrangement the structure of the atoms or arrangement of the atoms changes. That's all. Okay, these properties dependent on the internal arrangement of atoms. Therefore there is the need for studying the internal arrangement of atoms. The internal arrangement of atoms is called as crystal structures. Okay, let us say that is the structure. So therefore we are going to see this one. So it is a solid. Now I am showing the different states of matter. So in plasma, so in first three substances molecules exist without ionization, but in plasma the atoms or molecules get ionized, and there are some excited molecules, molecular fragments, and ions and free electrons also. Okay, so it is a different picture showing different states of matter. Now in solids there are two types depending upon the arrangement of atoms. Okay, they are crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Okay, in crystalline solids atoms or molecules are arranged in some regular fashion. In amorphous solids atoms or molecules are arranged in an irregular fashion. Okay, that is the examples for crystalline solids: sodium chloride, cesium chloride, diamond, calcite. There are many more. So in case of plastics, so we observe these things in daily use. Amorphous materials, plastics, glasses, rubber, and etc. So how do we define the crystal structure? That means if we see that a lattice, the addition of a combination of lattice plus basis gives us the crystal structure. Okay. So what is lattice? So we see the picture. So here we are seeing. So there are dots are there on a plane. Those dots are arranged in some systematic manner. Okay. So they are arranged in some systematic manner. So that the systematic arrangement of points is called as lattice. Okay. So if there exists one environment, a particular environment around every lattice point, the same particular environment around every lattice point, so that one is called basis. Okay, that one is called as basis. So if we assume the same environment exists at every lattice point, it looks like shown in crystal structure. Okay, here right side. Okay, that is the thing, lattice and basis. So now we see the definition, how it is defined. A geometric arrangement of the points in space at which the atoms or molecules or ions of a crystal occur. Okay, so it is called as lattice, or also called as, okay, space lattice. Now basis, the another word for basis is motif. A distinctive form or shape in a structure. Okay, motif is nothing but a distinctive form or shape in a structure or design. So it is defined as the identical group of atoms attached with each and every lattice, that is called basis. Okay, the motif may not be symmetrical, that may not be a symmetrical in geometrical size. Okay, so that is why here I have taken these flowers. If we draw a horizontal line from the center of the plant, so it is not symmetric about the horizontal line. We draw just like this. So upper side there is flower, lower side there is no flower. So similarly about vertical line also, so the right side leaf is at lower height and left side leaf is at higher height. So about the center point, that is not symmetric. So that means the basis around a particular point may not be symmetric, but whatever the environment around a point exists, it should exist at every point. Okay, so that is called basis. Okay, now a two-dimensional lattice is called plane lattice and the three-dimensional lattice is called space lattice. So earlier in before picture we have extended the lattice, two-dimensional lattice in the plane. So if we extend the lattice in 3D, it looks like single crystalline solid. Okay, we have seen crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Within the crystalline solid there is one more classification. So there exist two types of crystalline solids. So one type single crystalline solid and another one is polycrystalline solid. Single crystalline solid, in the single crystalline solid, the periodicity throughout the material extends throughout the material in 3D, three-dimensional case. Okay, in case of polycrystalline solid, the periodicity or regularity is confined to a particular region. In other region, the regular arrangement is in another orientation. Okay, so just like that. Therefore, in polycrystalline solid, the regularity is limited to certain area of the solid, where within that area arrangement is periodic. Outside that region, periodicity is there but in another direction, or regular arrangement is there in another direction. Okay, so such materials are called polycrystalline solids. The boundary that separates the two regions, the two neighboring regions, is called the grain boundary. Okay, we see these single crystalline and polycrystalline and amorphous or non-crystalline materials in the next picture. Here we are seeing the first one is crystalline solid, middle one polycrystalline, and third one amorphous. We can observe, so in crystalline, if we assume the red dots as lattice point and the green one as basis, it is a combination of lattice and basis, and that basis exists at every lattice, every red point. Okay, in crystalline. So in polycrystalline, we are observing, so it is one region and it is another region and it is one more region and it is another region and it is fifth region and it is sixth region. There are 6 regions we are observing. So we are also observing boundary, grain boundary also. Okay, so within that region there is some periodicity or regular arrangement. In first one, so the regular arrangement is in this direction, and so in second one, so the basis is altered. Okay, or let us say the red point orientation is altered. Okay, and in fifth one, so it is oriented in this direction, particularly orientation is changed. So in another one, so those orientation is changed. Okay, in that way, so there are different orientations of basis, maybe basis or lattice. Therefore these type of crystals are called as polycrystalline solid. So in amorphous material, so we are not observing a regular arrangement in any direction. They are randomly arranged. Therefore they are called as amorphous materials or non-crystalline materials or solids. Translational vector. So how can we understand the lattice, or how do we get the lattice by taking a single point as reference? So it gives us the idea. The periodicity of a linear array of repeated motif is called translational vector. or basis vector of that motif. Okay, so that means in one direction, let us say in x direction, so the lattice points are arranged at regular intervals or at equal distances. So therefore that direction and that length is called the basis vector in that direction. Okay, so in y direction the lattice points are there at regular intervals, but the distance or the interval length may be different as compared to the interval length in x direction. Okay, therefore it is having somewhat different length, so in different direction, so we associate it with another a vector quantity that is also basis vector in another direction, let us say y direction. Okay, so the addition of or the repetition of these vectors in two dimensions, that means two direction, if we keep on extending the lattice vector or basis vector in x direction and the basis vector in y direction, it forms as a two-dimensional array of lattice points. Okay, so if we, that means one plane, so we fixed our lattice points in a plane. So if we keep similar plane at some height above that plane, we get three-dimensional object. So in height we are taking as c. If we keep on placing the same planes at equal heights in other third direction, let us say z direction, so we get three-dimensional array of lattice points. Okay, here it is mentioned, if the plane pattern having repetition intervals a and b is combined with third non-coplanar translation C, then 3D array will be obtained. So the location of any lattice point can be defined or can be written as by a vector t bar is equal to p a bar plus q b bar plus r c bar. Here p q are integers. Now we are observing. So we observe in one example. Okay, here 2D lattice is there. So in x direction we are repeating the lattice with small a, and in y direction we are repeating the lattice points by a magnitude of b, small b. Okay, in that way we get this 2D lattice. We can extend the lattice in all, that means in this picture we are seeing along positive x direction only, we can extend along negative x direction also, negative y direction also. In negative y direction we have put only one lattice point, but we can imagine other also. So in this type of lattice points, any point can be expressed by either in coordinates or in this translation vector. Okay, so just like this, if we want to write the translation vector of a point D in the figure D, so that capital R is equal to 0 a bar plus 2 b bar. The position of D or the translation vector of a lattice point D is 0 a bar plus 2 b bar. So like that we can write the translation vector for any lattice point from the origin. So the position of that point from the origin indirectly gives us the direction of the point from the origin or the position vector of that lattice point from the origin also. So similarly in case of 3D, so here we have three basis vectors a, b, c, and the multipliers are integers. Here u, v, w are there. So for any point here we can express in that way. Now we come to the terminology used in crystal structures. The first one is the unit cell. Unit cell. It is the smallest motif and it is the smallest geometrical pattern. The repetition of the pattern along three basis vectors gives the space lattice in such a way that no overlap and there is no space between any of them. So that is the unit cell. Okay, that means with the repetition of the unit cell along three basis vectors, it should fill the entire space without overlapping and without empty space. Okay, that is called unit cell. That geometrical pattern is called the unit cell, the smallest geometrical pattern. The choice of unit cell is not unique. So that means we can take for a particular lattice, the unit cell is not fixed, not only one. We may have more than one also. Next, primitive unit cell. It is a minimum volume unit cell. It has only one lattice point in it. As I said just before, the unit cell is not unique or it is not one. We may have more than one. So if we have more than one unit cell, definitely there exists a small unit cell which is having minimum volume and the number of lattice points also minimum, that is 1. The minimum lattice point it has only one lattice point in it. Similarly, the basis associated with the primitive cell is called the primitive basis, and no basis contains fewer atoms than primitive basis contains. Okay, that one. Another way of choosing primitive unit cell is Wigner's cell. So from particular lattice we can take the primitive unit cell with Wigner's cell. It is a particular cell. There are certain rules. With those rules we can get the geometrical pattern of the PUC, primitive cell, that Wigner's cell. Okay, Wigner's cell is always primitive unit cell. Okay, right. So for understanding, we have considered here the lattice, plane lattice. It is two-dimensional plane lattice. So here we are observing many geometrical shapes. If you assume the total lattice, or you can check the total lattice can be covered with any of this geometrical structure. Okay, with all these structures we can fill the entire plane lattice without overlapping, without any gap. You can check it. In this, now it is rectangle. So it is rectangle, sorry. Right. So this one is rectangle and it is parallelogram and it is rhombus. It is also some parallelogram. Okay, this. In this one, the contribution of one lattice point, to this unit cell. So now we can call all these geometrical patterns as unit cells, since they are fulfilling the conditions of unit cell. They are filling the entire plane and no overlapping. So the contribution of this lattice point identified here to this rectangular unit cell is 1 by 4. If you want to understand in detail, so we can draw just like this. So if we place the same rectangle in upward direction, this one, for upward one, if we keep another rectangular right side, that one, for the first rectangle I am keeping one more rectangle right side. So now we are filling the plane. So from this, so it is clear this point, this corner point, lattice point, is being shared by 4 unit cells. So therefore it is 1. Let us name it as 1. So the contribution of that lattice point to the unit cell 1 is 1 by 4. Okay, its contribution is 1 by 4. So therefore for that unit cell such 4 lattice points exist. So therefore 4 into 1 by 4 is the contribution of one lattice point, and there are such 4 lattice points are there for the rectangular unit cell. Therefore its contribution is totally 1. That means the effective number of lattice points in the rectangular unit cell is 1. So therefore since the lattice point is 1, we can call it as primitive unit cell. So in case of this one also, only there are 4 corner points. That is also primitive unit cell. So in case of this unit cell, so this corner, the inner one, is totally confined to that unit cell only. It is not being shared by any other unit cell. Therefore its contribution is 100%. So that is 1, and 4 corner points contribution is 1. 1 by 4 into 4, 1 plus 1, we can write here. So this 1 is corresponding to the center lattice point, and this 1 by 4 into 4 for corresponding to the corner points. Here we get 2. So the lattice points for this unit cell is 2. Therefore, we cannot say it is primitive unit cell. So similarly, so it is also non-primitive unit cell. Okay. So but in this case there are 2 points inside the unit cell. Therefore, the lattice points per unit cell here is 3. Here is 3. So therefore, okay, now we are seeing what are primitive unit cells, what are non-primitive unit cells, and one more thing, we are observing the lattice, the total plane lattice, as it is repeated. It is the repetition of a rectangle, but that is one unit cell. At the same time, the total lattice is filled up, or the total plane is filled up with the repetition of different geometrical shapes. All these are unit cells. All these 5 are unit cells. Therefore, the choice of unit cell is not unique. The choice of unit cell is not unique, but we can say for any lattice there exists only one. Okay, no, sorry, that is Wigner's cell. Okay, it is the conclusion, right? The choice of unit cell is not unique. For this lattice we are identifying 5 unit cells. There are 2 primitive cells. So that was the example in 2D, and it is the example in 3D. So here also we considering the simple one. So it is one cube. So for cube there are 8 corner points. 8 corner points. The contribution of one corner point is 1 by 8. So is 1 by 8. The contribution of one corner point is 1 by 8. There are such 8 points are there. Totally 1. We have 1 lattice point for the unit cell. This cubic unit cell. So that is primitive cubic. So here we are seeing primitive one, and this one FCC. The second figure is FCC, and third one is body centered cubic, and fourth one is side centered or end centered. So in body centered it is the point, intersecting point of body diagonals. So therefore it is, we call it as body center. It is totally confined to this cube only. So here the lattice points, so per cube is 2, and here face centers, here the 4 contribution is 4. Here also it is 2 only, 2. Okay, so first one is primitive, others are non-primitive unit cells in 3D. Non-primitive unit cells in 3D we can say, right? So I said Wigner's cell is the one way of selecting primitive unit cell. So therefore now, so we are seeing this. So it is a primitive unit cell, and it can be constructed the following way. At first we have to take one point, any one point as reference point. After that, draw the lines to the nearest lattice point. Draw the line or connect the nearest lattice point from the reference point. Okay. Next, draw new lines at midpoints. Draw the new lines at midpoints and normal to the previous lines. It is the definition in case of 2D lattice. Draw new lines at midpoint of earlier lines and draw normal lines. Okay, the new line should be normal to the previous line. Okay, in that way we have to draw the all normal lines to earlier lines at their center points. So the intersection of those lines gives us one geometrical shape. That one is called Wigner's cell. So but in case of 3D, in place of new lines we have to imagine planes, or we have to keep planes, and the intersection of planes gives us a three-dimensional object. Okay, so that is also the Wigner's cell of 3D lattice. So as we are saying, Wigner's cell is primitive unit cell. The smallest area or smallest volume enclosed in this way gives us Wigner's cell. Okay, or in reverse we can say the volume of Wigner's cell is smallest. So now we are observing in 2D and 3D how to construct. Okay, here we are taking the red point. So in first figure, red point as reference and block points as nearest points. So we are drawing the lines, blue lines at first. In second step we are drawing red lines at the middle points of the blue lines from red to block. Okay, the center point between red and block dots. Okay, so those red lines, the intersection of those red lines giving us a shape that is hexagon. Okay, 6 faces or 6 sides it is having, that is hexagon. Similarly, for a simple cubic crystal also we can imagine. So for simple cubic crystal also we have to draw the planes at midpoints of nearest points, and now we are getting here simple cubic. We are getting simple cubic, and now so this one is a simple cubic lattice and its Wigner's cell is simple cubic, and here it is body centered cubic cell, and its Wigner's cell is truncated octahedron. Similarly we can assume, so in order to get the Wigner's cell, at first we have to draw the lattice, those cubic unit cells, and gradually we have to assume, draw the line to the nearest lattice point and planes at the midpoint of that line. Okay, and the plane should be normal to the line. In that way it gives us the geometrical shapes. The Wigner's cell of FCC is rhombic dodecahedron. So here I have given at a place. It is important to remember for competitive exams. So the Wigner's cell of 2D oblique plane lattice. In 2D also the lattice may be, as you have seen just before, there are different unit cells. That way, for a oblique plane lattice, the Wigner-C cell is hexagon. For a square lattice, again it will be a square. So for a square lattice, you put the square lattice and draw the lines to nearest point, and in second step you draw the normals at the midpoint of the lines, and again it gives a square. Okay, therefore for a oblique lattice, so it is hexagon. Similarly, in case of 3D, for a simple cubic, the Wigner-C cell is simple cubic. Okay, similarly, okay, that is the thing. And for body centered, truncated octahedron is the Wigner-C cell, and FCC rhombic dodecahedron. So here I am stopping. So it is elements of symmetry. So we discuss it in next class. So today what we have learned, so the states of matter, the states are solid, liquid, gases and plasma, and the crystal, it is a combination of basis plus lattice. Okay, types of crystals, single crystalline solid, polycrystalline solid, and types of solids, crystals, crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Amorphous solids are also called as non-crystalline solids. Okay, after that, unit cell, it is a minimum building block with the repetition of it along basis vectors. It fills the entire space without overlapping and without empty space. Okay, and primitive unit cell, it is also minimum geometrical unit cell, and the lattice point is 1. Okay, after that, so we have seen the choice of unit cell is not unique. Okay, and we have seen the plane lattice, space lattice, that is 3D lattice. Okay, and the different unit cells in plane lattice and space lattice. Okay, so the different unit cell plane lattice is a rectangle, a square, and a parallelogram, rhombus. Okay, in space lattice also we have seen only cubic. Within the cubic, according the basis, there is classification: simple cubic, body centered, face centered, and side centered. Okay, we have learnt about these topics. Thank you very much for watching.